Quality time.
We record.
Oh, you all mine.
All right, so welcome to Quality Time, where we have one-on-one real talk with experts to help relationship-minded men date quality women so they can find their dream woman. Today, I'm honored to have my guest be Steven Zawila from Quietly Romantic. Thanks for joining me today, Steve.
Thanks for having me here, Brian. It's an honor.
It's an honor for me. Steve is the very first guy who ever interviewed me about my site. He is the founder of Quietly Romantic, where he helps introverted young men with talking to women, meeting women, and being confident around them. He has been featured on Yahoo, Huffington Post, Introvert Dear, and the Good Men Project. I read your emails as well, Steve. I find you give a lot of really good value, a lot of insight into the guys, and you really seem to care. So that's something I got to give you credit for.
Well, thanks. That's exactly what I like to hear from my readers. I spend a lot of time writing those emails, and I hope they're valuable to people who read them. So I'm really glad to hear that you like what I put out there.
Absolutely. So you recently sent an email to me about a reader who had reached out in the interview we did before, saying he found it very useful. So obviously guys like him are going to find some more value in this interview today. So let's hit them with even more useful value they can use to make their life better and improve their love life with women, create some awesome relationships. How does that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Sounds great. All right, so Steve, you're a little more toned down, a little more mellow than an excitable guy like me. That might attract some different types of women. You focus mostly on introverted guys. Do you think that the kinds of girls that introverts are interested in and interested in them might be different from your sort of crazy, obnoxious, loud kind of guy like me?
Yeah, I feel like introverts, they might like other introverts. Well, I think it's more of a personal preference. Like, to me, I've dated introverted women, I've dated extroverted women. I feel like there's challenges that come with each of them. When it comes to extroverted women, a lot of them might not understand what it means to be an introvert. They may not understand like introverts, being around people, being in social situations, that kind of drains our energy a lot, and then we have to recharge from that. And extroverts, sometimes they take that for granted, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something you kind of have to work around, something you kind of have to keep in mind. So there's positives and negatives to dating both introverts and extroverts. For introverts specifically, I feel like it might be easier for introverts to date other introverts because then you kind of already understand each other on that level. You kind of understand the social dynamics. You kind of understand how the introvert social battery works, how being around other people, it kind of drains you, and you can't really do that for a long time without getting tired. So that's kind of an issue you avoid when you're dating another introvert if you're an introvert yourself. But if you keep that in mind, if you find ways to work around that, if you find ways to value the differences, then it's definitely possible for an introvert-extrovert relationship to work out as well.
For sure, I agree. As long as they communicate well and enjoy each other's company, it's introvert-extrovert is a not really important detail in my opinion.
Exactly, it's the communication. Every relationship is going to have problems. And that's just kind of the nature of being two different people in relationships. Like, no matter who you date, you're going to have things, you're going to have values, you're going to have personality traits that are different in you than are different in her. You're going to have some differences in your personalities. So no matter what, if you're dating an introvert or extrovert or someone who's an atheist or religious or vegan, no matter who you date, there's going to be differences between you and her. It's not just an introvert-extrovert thing, but the important thing is if you can communicate that well and if you can find ways to value the differences.
I agree. And I can accept almost any difference except for maybe vegans, because sharing food is going to be such a pain, and I like to go and eat well. So I don't know if I can go for that. I give it a shot, but it sounds a little difficult. I want to circle back around on that, but first I want to ask you, how did you become a dating coach?
Well, first, I had this mentor. He's a guy I subscribe to. His name's Ramit Sethi. He runs the blog I Will Teach You to Be Rich, or IWT. If you type in I will teach you to be rich.com, it takes you to his website. And I know he's talked about changing the name of his site. I don't know if he's actually doing it. It sounds like a scammy website, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And that's the only site I know off the top of my head where you literally have to type a complete sentence into the URL bar to access it. But yeah, he has a program called Zero to Launch. I ended up taking that program, and in that program, he kind of talks about building an online business, building a blog, which you can sell products or coaching services or whatever to people who read your material, people who are your audience. And I went through that program. I tried writing about accounting, but it turns out I didn't really like that. So next I tried writing about coaching around dating skills. I tried writing around dating advice for introverted young men. And that's something I feel really strongly about. That's something I like to help people with, especially because being an introverted man myself, I really struggled with dating women when I was younger. And that's something I really enjoy doing. That's how I got started.
Cool. That's very cool. It's a great story. It's nice that you're taking something you struggled with, that you found some solutions to, and helping other people with the same solutions so that they can get that solved for themselves as well. Hopefully faster than you did yourself, you know? That's cool. So actually, let's jump into kind of a personal story here. I'd like to know who is or was the best woman that you've ever dated? Best woman that you ever dated?
The best woman I've ever dated. I don't think I'm allowed to say that's anyone other than the woman I'm currently with, which is my fiance right now. But I guess she's the best woman I've ever been with if I'm with her right now. And I did eventually propose to her, so.
This is true. Okay. So what is it about her that makes her stand out in your mind?
Well, it's kind of what I talked about earlier. When it comes to dating someone, there's inevitably going to be a lot of differences between you and her. And I'm an introvert, she's an extrovert, so there's a lot of differences between the two of us. So on the surface, it might seem like the two of us don't have a lot in common, and that's not untrue. I like staying in, reading, watching TV, playing video games. She's more athletic. She was actually the captain of the basketball team in high school. She plays sports. She likes ping pong, which I absolutely suck at. Like, I'll hit the ball, it'll go like a mile into space, and I don't know how you're supposed to hit the ball so that it lands like 3 feet on this tiny table in front of you. I don't know how you're supposed to.
You're so strong, Steve. You just whack the ball into outer space. You can't help it.
I don't know. The ball is like, it's a super light ping pong ball. And you hit it like, you barely tap it, and it flies like 2 miles in the other direction. I don't know how you're supposed to hit it so it lands on the opposite side of the table. But there's a lot of differences between the two of us. But what really makes her stand out is she, more than anyone else I've dated, seems to genuinely want to make it work. She appreciates the differences between the two of us, and we come up with ways to go around it. Like, well, maybe once a week I'll play sports with her. I'll play ping pong. It's not my cup of tea, but I know she really likes it. And then she knows that I'm an introvert, so I kind of need my own time after I've been social with other people for a while. So she understands that sometimes I just need to be alone, need to be in my room watching Netflix or play video games or read books or what have you. So she understands that there are differences between the two of us. And instead of us trying to change each other, instead of me trying to make her more of a bookworm or more introverted, or instead of her trying to change me into more of an extrovert or more of an athlete, we understand that there's differences between the two of us, and we work around them.
Yeah, for sure. Part of having a good relationship and finding a partner that matches you well is one where you can communicate these things and work out where it's is good for both of you, because obviously you are going to have your differences and you can negotiate those and work it out so it works for both of you. That's a
Exactly.
little bit of compromise, but a little bit of just understanding and appreciation for the other person as well.
Right.
Cool. So little bit weird question. I don't know how you feel about answering this, but is there one you kind of feel that like got away or you made a mistake with, where like you learned a particular amount from like dating that woman?
Um, I'd say there's a lot of women that have gotten away. One that stands out in particular is when I was in college, there was this one woman who was my friend for 2 years, and it wasn't until when we were heading towards the end of college, when we were going to graduate, she was gonna take a job in California, and then after she took a job in California, way away from me, from where I am in Wisconsin, I kind of realized that this woman who'd been my friend for 2 years, I kind of loved her, and
From
well,
afar,
unfortunately,
from afar, even farther than she knew.
yeah, I never told her that. On some level, I kind of thought that, if she's I'm just realizing right then, at the point where we probably wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Um, that, but well, I thought that maybe it wouldn't be worth telling her, so I just kind of kept that to myself. I
Oh,
told
that's a shame.
myself that it'd be for the best if she never knew how I really felt about her. So I kept that inside, and she moved away. On some level, I want to believe that what I did is for the best, never telling her. But then also on some level, I guess there's a possibility that maybe if I told her, we could have made it work. But I made my choice, and I kind of have to live with it.
That's true. You never know. Maybe something good could have come from it. Definitely. I believe in you ever seen the movie The Butterfly Effect with Ashton Kutcher?
Oh no, I've heard of it though.
Okay, so one, it's a great movie. I'm not really a huge Ashton Kutcher fan, although I look like I probably am. He does act really good in this movie, and the script is really great because the whole principle of it is he can go back and read his journals to change his past to what he think would be a better version. But actually, every time he does it, something else ends up going wrong, which makes it worse than it actually turned out originally. So it's kind of like there's no point in regretting anything, because even if we could change it, it might have turned out worse. That's the sort of principle I like to live by in a sorts. Sometimes I look back and I think like, oh, I regret that. I wish I had done such and such instead. But then I think if I had, maybe it would have actually turned out worse. Maybe this is all right. So that's a good mindset. I personally take. I don't know if that helps other guys, but one, I recommend they watch that movie, and two, consider that mindset, because you just never know, right? Maybe it would have been great, but maybe you would have told her and she would have stayed, and then you would have had the worst relationship ever, or would have ended up in some sort of terrible disaster. You never know.
Exactly. It's in the past now. It's there's not really any point in worrying about it anymore. Just kind of move on from it. And one thing that really helped was developing an abundance mentality. Like, all right, she kind of got away, but there's going to be a lot more women out there that I can eventually meet, interact with,
That's
get
right. It's
involved with
on
romance.
you. It's on you to make that turn out well for yourself, so you can create those options. You can enjoy a nice relationship with a nice woman like that again.
Exactly.
I hear that. That's cool. That's cool. It's a great mentality. At the same time, I gotta say, take the fucking chance. Like I think if there's two lessons there, one, take the chance, and two, don't regret the past. I think they go a little bit opposite directions, but they go together.
Yeah, I mean, you make decisions and you have to live with them for better or for worse. That's life.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a cruel, cruel maiden sometimes.
Hmm.
So I'm interested to you in regards to like one, your fiance, and two, this woman, and three, just quality women in general. What is it to you that makes a woman really, really amazing, really quality, where you would consider like, I might really like to have a long-term relationship with this woman?
Hmm. Well, it kind of goes back to what I talked about earlier. When you're seeing someone, there's going to inevitably be differences between you and the other person, and one of the biggest things is being able to work around those differences, being able to accept that those differences exist, and there's not really any point in trying to change the other person to be more like you are, or trying to um, force them to do whatever it is you want to do, or to be more like you, or do what it is that you would do in those situations if you were them. So a lot of it is being able to value the differences, understand that there's things different between you and her. And another thing is just genuinely wanting the relationship to work, like coming from a place where you want the other person to be happy. Like when I first started dating, I dated a lot of women who kind of didn't treat me very well. They weren't very, I don't know if there's a politically correct way to say this, but they were kind of.
Yeah, there's crazy not so healthy people out there, men and women. So we can just say they weren't that healthy in the head, and probably because you were dating them, you might not have been that healthy in the head either at that time, I'm guessing.
Yeah, exactly. When it comes to dating, we attract who we are. We not necessarily what we want to attract. And for me, when I first started off with dating, um, I was sort of a late bloomer. I didn't really date until really late into college, until I was like 20-ish years old. So for me, when I first started dating women, even though they weren't the kind of women that treated me right, I felt like they were my only options, because up until that point in my life, I had gone 20 years without going on a single date. So I was worried that if I didn't date this woman who was right in front of me, who was willing to date me as well, even if she wasn't like treating me very well, I was worried that if I didn't just tolerate that and date her as well, if I turned her down, I'd go another 20 plus years without getting another date. So when it comes to dating a quality woman, you really need to be coming from a secure place. Like for me, the place I was coming from was being afraid of being alone, of being afraid that if I didn't date her, if I turned her down, I was going to go another 2 decades without getting a single date. And that's not really a healthy place to be coming from when it comes to being in a relationship. So when it comes to being with a quality woman, another huge thing that makes a woman a quality woman is that she's coming from a secure place. And it really helps if you're coming from a secure place as well. That's what helps build a really great relationship.
Yeah, I agree. You touched on a few really good things there. One is you attract who you are, not who you want. So if you're a secure, healthy person who feels good about yourself and wants to create an awesome relationship, you can find someone else who's a secure, healthy person, feels good about themselves, wants to create an awesome relationship too. If you're coming from a place of, if I don't keep this woman, I may never get laid again, that sort of desperation is going to attract the kind of woman who, maybe feels desperate in herself that she needs to tie some man down and kind of latch on in some sort of unhealthy way as well, where it's not going to turn out so well for you guys either. So one, I agree with you 100%. You attract who you are, not who you want. And two, so if you're a quality man, you can attract a quality woman. If you're not so healthy, not so sorted out in your life, then you're probably going to also date women who are not so personally sorted out and not so personally sorted out in their life. And third thing is that I got a philosophy on my site that you can't change someone unless they're in diapers. So it means you got to find someone who's as you would like them to be for the most part, at least something that you can accept personally and enjoy creating a relationship with them. Because if you take on someone thinking like, oh, they might be like a project, I can help them become better, I can help make them more how I want them to be, and you just think about how hard it is to change yourself, never mind trying to influence someone for them to change themselves, it's almost impossible. And often those people end up resenting each other, that this person is trying to change them, trying to influence them. They don't want to. You know, you can't change someone unless they want to. It's kind of like a drug addict. You know, they can't change until they really choose they want to. It doesn't matter how much sense you make to them. So since you can't change someone unless they're in diapers, you got to find someone who suits you well enough that you're happy with just as they are, and you can accept that as they are. And if there are certain things that you just can't accept, like if I could change that about that person, you know, you could maybe communicate, but your best chances are, okay, so if it's acceptable to you, you can communicate and find ways to work it out, kind of like you and your fiance. If you communicate and it's not gonna work, then your best bet is probably just to find someone where it is gonna be okay, it is gonna work, you are gonna be able to communicate, because you're never gonna be able to make her as you want her to be, or make her healthier, or fix her, or better, etc., etc. You just got to find a woman who's already got herself together where you can enjoy matching her already. And in order to do that, you got to be a kick-ass person yourself. That's my personal take on it. Your thoughts?
Right. There's a saying called and it's on the tip of my tongue, which is another saying. Oh yeah, the common denominator in all of your relationships is you. So if you're dating a lot of people, if you're serially dating, you're dating one person and it doesn't work out, and it turns out they're kind of crazy or what have you, you date another person, you're kind of crazy or what have you, and if you keep dating people like that, and it turns out all these people, one after another, just make you unhappy, you know, maybe something's wrong with you. Maybe there's something that you need to work on. As it turns out, the common denominator in all of your relationships is you. Another version of that saying is, if it smells like poop everywhere you go, check your shoes.
Oh, that's a really good saying. I like it. Yeah, that's entirely it, right? So if you got some personal issues that you're not quite sorting out, you're not quite handling or communicating properly, you're going to take those with you and have the same kind of relationships with everyone that aren't going to be really good. Like, I personally believe that, what the heck did I have on my site about that? It smells like poop. Oh yeah, you have a certain type, if you have a certain type of dysfunction, often people attract a certain type of dysfunction that matches that, and then those relationships turn out very similar and unravel in the end in the same way. So like you said, if you had 3 relationships all unravel in a very similar way that weren't really good, obviously you're the common denominator. You want to look at yourself, and just in any situation really, to look and say, how was I responsible for creating this? Either in how I communicated, the person I chose, how I dealt with the situation, even if it's not entirely your fault, because nothing is entirely 100% one person's fault usually. Just taking responsibility overall, saying, how did I make this happen so that I can avoid making those same circumstances come to be in the future, is just a really healthy mindset to take on in life, not just in relationships, but overall altogether.
Exactly. You want to be proactive when it comes to relationships or anything really, even if a lot of it is luck. Like, I know a lot of people complain that relationships or finding a woman, a lot of that is luck. And I'm not going to deny that. A lot of that is luck, but at the same time, there are ways to create your own luck. And even if something is 99% luck and 1% something that you can have control of, then you should focus on that 1%, see what you can change, see what you can do to make things better. That's how you be proactive. And you'll find that doing that often gets you a lot of good results. And in many cases, you'll actually create your own luck doing that.
Absolutely. Something my dad used to say was, you got to be lucky to be good and good to be lucky. So if you go about making your own situations, improving yourself so that you can have the best chance and the most opportunities to get lucky, then you're probably going to find your luck increase somewhat as well. It's kind of like dating skills is definitely a sort of numbers game. You do have to find people who match you, and you do have to approach a certain number of people to be able to find the right amount that will match you. We'll say it's a percentage game, kind of like poker, where when the cards are down, you may have the best statistical chance to win, but you may lose on the odds to someone who just got lucky as well. Now, even if you have a 95% chance to win, because I was playing, not too long ago, and whatever cards I was playing, it was like 95% chance to win. So I went all in, and I lost on the 5%. I went, damn, that's a little harsh. But fact of the matter is, I made the right play. I gave myself the chance to win. It's just unfortunate that was out of my control at that time. But 100% of the time, you should probably play the 95% chance to win. It wasn't that I made a mistake, it was that I got unlucky. So the more you increase your dating and personal skills, the more you raise your odds of it working out, so then your odds of winning become higher. It's not that you can control everything and win 100%. It's that you can now change it from like 10 to 15 to 20 to 25 to 30 to 40 or whatever. And it's not 100%, but you now have so many more opportunities and so much more skill in playing that your odds of winning become higher.
Right. And you'll see this with amateur poker players. Like, they'll let their previous hands, or whether they've been winning or losing, they'll let those influence their current hand. If they've been winning a lot, then they'll take more risks. Or if they've been losing a lot, they'll just accept the fact that they're unlucky, and they'll stop taking risks even when the correct play would be to take those risks. And when it comes to expert or professional poker players, they won't let their previous hands influence their current hands. They'll analyze what the correct thing to do is, and they'll do it, regardless of whether they've won or lost the last 5 games in a row. They'll still make the correct play. They'll still analyze whether or not the hand they've been dealt, the hand they're working on currently, they'll make sure that they do the correct play.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's making the right play at the right time, regardless of what past circumstances dictated. So for example, you go to a cafe and say you talk to 5 girls and they all hated you for some reason, whatever, that shit happens. And you see a pretty girl there and she's there with like 3 guys who look like friends or something, and you're like, oh, those 5 women all hated me and this girl's with 3 guys, and oh, it's
Exactly.
terrible, but I'm gonna give it a go. And you go and you find out that those 3 guys are like her gay friends, or they all have girlfriends or something, and she's actually wish she could find some single guy she likes. So you chat to her quickly and find out what's up, befriend the dudes, get her number, meet up with her later. Turns out it's really cool. Seemed like a low percentage play, but you gave yourself a chance, and in doing that, it turned out it was actually a high percentage play. So one, it's taking the chance, and 2, it's being able to make it as likely for you to win as possible, which is never 100%, but if you can increase it, why the heck not?
Yeah, like a lot of people, they'll get rejected by 2, 3, 4, 5 women, and then they kind of go into a spiral of doom. They'll let those rejections grate on them. They'll feel less confident because of those rejections, and then they go talk to another woman, and they've got all those other rejections in their mind. So now they're acting all unconfident or awkward, and then the next woman kind of turns them down based on the fact that he's being all awkward. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It becomes sort of a negative spiral or a negative feedback loop.
That's right. What a lot of guys don't realize is you only need like 1 woman to really like you. So like, say you get turned down by 100 women, you're like, oh, that's tough, I feel bad about myself. But the next woman who you're really interested in, who you really like, who you think is really attractive, she likes you. Guess what? You just won. You just won the lottery. So you got to have your ticket to play. And your chances of winning are a lot higher than winning the lottery. You got to go out there and give yourself a shot. Otherwise, you got no chance, and you sit at home and probably don't enjoy some evenings as much as you'd like to.
Exactly. And when it comes to women, you can't let that grate on you. You can't let all those rejections grate on you. A lot of men, they'll get rejected, and then they'll go on the internet, or they'll go on some weird internet forum, and then they'll complain that women only like Chad, the alpha male, or
So Chad the alpha male doesn't have everything set up either. I'll tell you that. Like, there are advantages and disadvantages to all kinds of positions.
exactly. Or they'll complain that it's too luck based. And really, if you're striking out with a lot of women, part of it might be bad luck, but part of it might also be some area you could improve on. And like if you're talking to someone and you kind of come off as awkward, if it's like sort of the way you speak or the way you dress, there are ways to improve that. And by doing that, you actually increase your own luck. You make your own luck. So yeah, sometimes, well, dating involves luck. I'm not going to say that it doesn't involve luck, but a lot of things in life involve luck. And like all those things, there's a way to create your own luck.
That's right. Good to be lucky, lucky to be good. So you make yourself as good as possible, and you give yourself the best chance of being lucky.
There you go.
Oh, so that was some old hockey wisdom from my pops.
Yeah. And I know it feels good to complain if you haven't been having a lot of success. I know it feels good to say that, oh, women only like this kind of man, or I'm just too ugly, or I'm just too uninteresting. Yeah, it feels good to complain, and I know because I've done it myself. I don't like to admit that, but I've done that myself. But at the end of the day, you can either complain, try to feel validated in your victimhood, or you can find ways to create your own luck. You can take a look at what you've been doing, see if maybe you've been doing something that comes across as awkward and creepy, and you haven't realized it, but if you kind of look back at the way you interact with women, there's this thing you've been doing, or the way you talk to women is kind of weird, or the way you dress is kind of blah or uninteresting. So a lot of times, if you're proactive, if you ignore the fact that a lot of that is luck, if you just don't worry about that and you worry about the things you can control, you can influence, then you might end up having more success than you expected.
Exactly. You can have your excuses or you can have the results, but you can't have both. So you might as
Exactly.
well focus on the things we can take responsibility for to go towards the results. Let the excuses go, and move towards it. Move in the right direction, because you can sit there and bitch and complain, but it doesn't get you anywhere. And I think it only makes people more jaded and more upset. And let's face it, they want to feel less jaded and less upset. That's why they're on the internet complaining about it. So the solution is to find solutions, which is probably improving yourself in some personal ways, i.e. communication, appearance, people skills, proactiveness, mindsets, et cetera, so that, like you said, you can create your own luck. And it takes a little bit of work, but as you go out and you do it more, you're now able to create better relationships with more women you might really be interested in, and then you can start to enjoy that more. And then when you start enjoying it, or even make the process of doing it fun, one, you and the woman are going to enjoy it more, and two, she's going to be around you more, so you're going to enjoy it, and she's going to enjoy it, and you're going to get better results altogether. So stop being a bitch, man up, take responsibility, find ways, people, solutions, whatever you need to do to find what you want to get done. Find ways to get done what you want to get done.
Yes, that applies to dating, and it applies to pretty much everything else in life. Like, it's easy to go on the internet and complain. It's easy to have excuses. It's hard to take action because it feels good to make excuses. And it's like that with anything. Like, if you're trying to find a new job, it's easy to complain that the economy's bad, or the baby boomers did some crap. or you put out a resume and it just goes into the black hole of doom. And yeah, I'm not saying that that's necessarily untrue. Like, yeah, there are a lot of other job applicants. There are way less positions than there are people vying for those positions. And yes, a lot of that is the economy. But at the same time, if you stop focusing on the things you can't control, like you can't control the economy, well, you can sort of on a micro level, but you can't on a macro level. So if you stop focusing on the economy or the baby boomers or what technology is out there that's just electronically sending your resume to the black hole of doom, and instead you focus on the things you can control, like maybe you start networking or you start talking to other people, experts who work in the position that you want to work in, or who have been in the same position that you are now, or who have been in the same shoes that you are in now. I mean, there's a lot of ways to take pretty much any position that you're in, any situation that you are in life, and be proactive about it. So yeah, when it comes to dating, you can complain that women only like Chad, the alpha male, who has a giant chin or bulging pecs, or who reeks of testosterone.
Reeks. Well, here's the thing. Look, guys can complain about these things, but there are examples of dudes who are not like Chad, who still have really awesome hot girlfriends. So they can complain, but there are examples, and no one wants to go out and find the examples where it's different and be like, oh yeah, that guy did it, so I can do it. What they do is they want to complain because, one, they don't want to be rejected, and two, it's much easier to be a victim than it is to go out and take action and look at oneself and self-reflect and say, oh, maybe I wasn't communicating really well. Maybe I wasn't being very assertive. Maybe I wasn't making sure that I was an interesting conversationalist, so she wanted to spend time with me, opposed to being like, oh, that woman's a bitch because she didn't like me. If you want the relationship, you need to create it and make it cool so she wants to be there. It's basic sales. You can't make someone buy something they don't want to buy. The first point of them buying something is, one, either they need it, and single women don't necessarily need a guy, but sooner or later they're looking for one. So there's a bit of a need there. Two is they really, really want it. You don't have to have an iPhone, but a lot of people really, really want an iPhone. So if you can show her that you're a man that she would be interested in wanting because you're fun, she feels good when she's with you, her life is better for having been with you, then she's going to want to meet up with you more and spend more time with you and enjoy that connection and that potential relationship. And if guys don't want to take it on themselves to be a product that the women they are interested in, that they would want to buy, then that's their fault, and they're not very good at dating. Okay, so they need to create that desire in the women and create themselves as a product that the women would want. And if they don't want to, they just want to be the product they are. I want you to pay $1,000 for tissues. What's wrong with you? You don't pay $1,000 for tissues, you're an idiot. You suck. I hate people like you. Well, it's not the offer they want. Find out the offer they want, craft an offer, give it to them in a compelling way. There's a good chance that they're going to be much more interested in it. So I agree with you. A lot of dudes, sort of like the red pill kind of dudes, want to get kind of butthurt and complain about women. There is some truth to what they're saying. But the fact is that there's biological truth, and there's also good women and good people out there who have good character and want to enjoy a nice connection and interaction and relationship with someone. And if you can show that you're a guy who they can enjoy that with shamelessly, then they'll want to be around you and see what comes from that.
Yes, I agree 100%. And also, don't get me started on the red pill.
Well, the red pill Reddit, I think I've only seen like 2 posts or something in there, but it's probably like the most butthurt place I've ever seen on the internet. I don't know. What do you think?
It's yeah, it's kind of like what we were just talking about. It's a bunch of guys who want to feel validated in their victimhood, so they make up these excuses as to why they're not succeeding with women. It's because Chad, the alpha male, who drinks creatine 5 times a day,
Yo, lay off
and
the creatine, all right? That shit's helpful.
and who lifts dumbbells while he's pooping.
You can get curls. This is a good time for that.
You know, it's because of Chad, the alpha male, or it's because women are more emotional or whatever. I mean, they claim that women are somehow scheming evil creatures who created feminism to overthrow men or to undermine a patriarchal society, and yet they're at the same time too emotional that they can't use logic at all. I mean, those two claims don't make any sense. They can't both be true at the same time. But they don't want to hear that. They want to make excuses for themselves. They want to be butthurt. They want to feel good in their victimhood. They want to find any excuse other than the fact that maybe they're the ones who are coming off as awkward or as not that interesting or what have you. They're finding any reason but the fact that they're not the kind of person. They're not coming off well to women.
That's entirely it.
They don't want to hear it.
That's right. That's right. If you're the kind of person who's just going to sit around and complain rather than try to find a solution, then it's no surprise that you're not going to come off well to people. Because I don't know about you, but I want people in my life who are solving problems and getting shit done, not sitting around complaining about it, especially on the internet. That's the least productive place to sit and complain.
Like I said, don't get me started on the red pill. I can talk about that for way too long.
Well, we can dive a little bit into it because I do find it a little bit fascinating in the sense that biologically speaking, some things the red pill says I think are correct. Women are going to like more masculine men, especially more feminine women who are the sexy type a lot of these guys would want because they're different polarities. The most feminine is probably going to want the most masculine in a healthy way. Somewhat feminine, somewhat masculine. It balances out. This is my personal belief. So if you are masculine, dominant, assertive, a good communicator, say what you think, there's going to be women who are somewhat like that in a more feminine way. They want to be assertively communicated to. They want to know what's going on. They want to give themselves to a man. They're going to match out. And these guys who are not like that are going to be like, oh, I hate those guys. Well, it's fair. You can hate. Or you could just go to the gym, dress a little bit better, get a haircut or something, and use that to your advantage. Because there are going to be feminine women who are going to like it. Either complain about it or you can use it to your advantage. There are going to be women who like resources. Obviously, people like resources. I like people around me who got cash, who got shit going on that I can learn from. And if I go out and they're buying me drinks at an expensive nightclub, I'm going to ask that dude, like, yo, you're going out tonight? Like, millionaire friend, you're going out to get a table? Like, is that what you're up to tonight? Because that sounds fun. You know, I might want to tag along because I'm not a millionaire dude. Not because, like, I want to leech off them, but because there is value in that. And if that is something that they enjoy bringing people along with them for, I'm happy to go along with them and have a good time with them doing it. Why not? So obviously resources are attractive to everyone, especially women. They did a study with monkeys where monkeys could perform tasks and they'd get tokens. They could trade the token for food. It took 2 days before they had to stop the experiment because the male monkeys realized if they gave token to the female monkeys, they could have sex with them. This is monkey prostitution. It's biologically wired for women to like a man with resources because then they and their children are safe. You can say, okay, that's not fair. They're gold diggers, blah, blah, blah. No, it's a biological reaction, okay? You can either use it to your advantage or you can skew it so that you communicate you're not the man who's providing the resources. So if they want that, they're going to need to find a different guy. And they go, okay, well, I'm not so interested in the man providing the resources. I'd rather have the man who's fun and good to be with and going to be there with me. And he communicated that to me, which is kind of an alpha thing to be like, I'm not going to give you everything you need and want, just so you know that they know what they're getting into. It's not bullshit trying to buy them when you can't afford it. It's communicating, this is what I'm willing to offer, and you can honestly take it on the table or leave it. They go, oh, fuck, maybe I'll give it a go. A lot of the times, they'll just give it a go. If you're not a douchebag about it and you present it in the right way, a lot of the times that's not the most important thing. Is it going to help? Yes. But also, is it going to attract a lot of women who maybe just want the cash? Well, that's another problem entirely. Do you want to be the guy who has all the cash and shows it off where the women are just going for it? Probably not. Probably you want to have it, but you want to not show that you have all of it, just that you're comfy, so then the women will like you for you as opposed to your money. So can you use these things to your advantage? Yeah. You're like, oh, they just want the fun outgoing guy. Who doesn't want to be around fun people? Who doesn't want to be around people they enjoy? Whether it's outgoing, fun, joking, whatever. They want to be around people they enjoy. So if you become a person who can communicate so people enjoy being around you, of course, you're going to have more opportunities for friends, business, networking. A lot of business is personal relationships, women as well. So either complain or use it to your advantage, or communicate that you're not going that way and the people who get on board can do it, but do not sit around and be fucking butthurt, because being butthurt doesn't help them or you. No one likes it. You can sit around with a bunch of losers and complain about sitting around with a bunch of losers, but it doesn't get you anywhere. So I would say forget that. There are some useful things in it, just like anything. There's good and bad, but you got to pull it out and use it to your advantage, just like anything in life. That's my thought on red pill. Your thoughts, Steve?
All right, my thoughts on the red pill. All right, nothing you said is untrue, and a lot of that stuff, that advice, does exist in the red pill. Like the red pill would tell you not to be overly concerned with one woman and to work on your masculinity, be healthy, exercise, eat right, that kind of stuff. So yes, in that sense, the red pill does contain some good pieces of dating advice, some advice that's not untrue. Now, the thing about the red pill is a lot of that advice, it's buried under mountains and mountains of misogyny. And if you're going to tell me that misogyny doesn't exist, well, it does. All you have to do to prove it is to go to the red pill, and it calls women bitches on the fucking sidebar.
Yeah. Well, so does man hate, though. Like feminism kind of hates and blames men for a lot of things too. So to be fair, whatever viewpoint there is, there's almost always a counter viewpoint. So it's okay, fine, it's fair. So go ahead.
All right. So the thing about the red pill is all the good pieces of advice, all the pieces of advice that are not untrue, they're buried under a lot of misogyny. And now everything that you just said about dressing right, eating good, if you want to look good, maybe like get a haircut, get a wardrobe makeover, increase your masculine energy. The red pill says all of those things. But a couple other places where you can find all of that advice is books like Mate by Tucker Max or Models by Mark Manson. Mark Manson writes about dressing well. Tucker Max and Mate, he writes about eating well. He recommends a paleo diet. He teaches you how to eat well. And that's the exact same advice that the red pill says as well, minus all of the misogyny. So when it comes to the red pill, people say that you can go to the red pill, you can find the good, keep the good, take out the bad. But when it comes to dating advice, one, if you're looking for dating advice on the internet, presumably you don't know the advice, so you don't know what constitutes good advice or what constitutes bad advice. In order to know what constitutes good advice or bad advice, you kind of already have to know what the advice is. And if you're going to the red pill or you're going on the internet to look for advice, then presumably you don't know what the advice is. Because if you already knew what the advice is, you wouldn't have to look for it. And second, the red pill, it contains mountains and mountains of misogyny. And those gems of good advice, those untrue, those pieces of advice that are not untrue, they're buried under all those mountains of misogyny. So people will say that you can just ignore the misogyny and just keep the good pieces of advice. But actually, there was a 2005 experiment conducted by Gregory Burns of Emory University. And in that experiment, volunteers played a game where they were shown two different objects on a computer screen, and they were asked to decide whether the first object could be rotated to match the second object. And when these volunteers played the game alone, they only missed, they were only incorrect around 13.8% of the time. But when the volunteers played with a group of other people, and this group of other people were actually actors who were instructed to unanimously give the wrong answer, then the volunteer, their answers would usually match the group. So the volunteers, they were actually incorrect 41% of the time when they played with a group of people who unanimously gave the wrong answers, compared to 13.8% of the time when they played alone. Now, here's the kicker. That begs the question, are these volunteers, are they intentionally giving the wrong answers to fit in with the group? Or is the group's opinion changing the way they see the image? And the volunteers, they were having fMRI scans while they were giving their answers. So we actually know what the answer to that question is. The truth is, the volunteers, the group's opinions were actually changing the way the volunteers viewed the image. The volunteers were not consciously giving the wrong answers to fit in with the group. The group's opinion actually changed the way they viewed reality. So when it comes to the red pill, it's actually going to be the same way. You know, you can try to avoid all the misogyny, but on a subconscious level, a lot of it's just going to seep into you. And when you think it doesn't seep in, that's when it really seeps into you. So those are my views. Those are my views on the red pill.
I agree 100%. There's much better ways to get healthy, conventional dating advice than going to red pill. It's no surprise that being fit, taking care of your diet, dressing well, being an interesting person, communicating well, maybe having some friends, some activities you regularly do, just having some sort of interesting life in some way is going to be more attractive. And guys on the red pill can bitch about that as much as they want, but that's going to be true across reality and life. It doesn't matter the circumstance or the time, really. So what's to complain about? That's obvious. It seems obvious. If those guys don't want to do those things because they probably don't want to fear rejection and put in the work, then they don't deserve the basic results that come from it also, almost across the board. So I agree with you. There's way better ways to get it. Don't go towards the red pill. It's not worth going through the poop to find the gems or the diamonds. You're right. I have checked it out just, you know, based upon my own personal research and experience, but it's not the best place to go. And I wouldn't recommend it. You can go to a guy like Steve, a guy like me, anyone else, but red pill, and you can get pretty much the same information minus the BS and the misogyny and the, like you said, the bad mental associations that could put you down the wrong path accidentally just by becoming involved in it. So that's a great point out. I really like that. That's very intelligent.
Thank you. And again, two books I recommend if you're also struggling with dating is Mate by Tucker Max and Models by Mark Manson.
I agree. I love Models by Mark Manson. I haven't read Mate by Tucker Max, but I've heard it's really good, not just from yourself. So I might read it. I don't take in a whole lot of like pickup and dating advice so much anymore. I focus mostly on other sort of personal development type reading and info, but I might take it in. I might consider it just because you recommended it, you know, several times now. It's hard to turn down a several times recommended book on a topic I'm interested in.
Right. It's like Ramit says from I Will Teach You to Be Rich. If you hear about something from several different sources, then it's probably worth checking out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sure it's good. I like their site. I checked out the site. It was a good site. Cool. So we're talking about dating sort of healthy, quality women who would be good for you to have a long-term relationship with. What do you think is different about dating women like that?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Sure. So we're talking about dating quality women who might be sort of healthy women for you to enter into a long-term relationship with. They might make you a better person, communicate good, help you enjoy the relationship more than, say, an unhealthy one, sort of like the women you were with in college. Excuse me. So what do you think is different about dating women like that?
Well, on one level, it's going to make you a lot more happier and it's going to make you a better person. I don't know if you watch Friends, but on the show when Ross is dating Rachel, Ross always seems to be, he seems to walk on eggshells around Rachel. Like he's afraid to say anything that'll kind of antagonize her. And part of the reason is because he's been lusting over her since high school. So he's sort of like, what's that word? A doormat around her, where he's afraid to do anything to upset her. She goes to this lecture on passion that one of her coworkers is giving, and Ross is kind of jealous, so he goes to the lecture on fashion as well, even though he's a paleontologist and a lecture on fashion is going to be totally boring for him. But that's the kind of person that Ross becomes when he's dating Rachel. And on some level, if you're not dating a quality woman, that's kind of what happens to you. You kind of become dating a quality woman and coming from a secure place. And when she's coming from a secure place as well, it actually helps you to become better people. It brings out the best in you. That's kind of what a relationship is supposed to do. It brings out the best in you, and the two of you feel secure around each other. You feel like you can be who you truly are. You can show the other person your true self, the part of you that you don't show to anyone else, and you kind of build on that. You become better people through it, and ultimately, yeah, that's a lot more work. Like as we discussed back, the first people I dated, it was easier for me to continue dating women who didn't treat me right than it was for me to take a good hard look at myself and be like, hey, I'm not happy being with these people. I really got to get out of this relationship. It was easier for me to stay with those people, but at the same time, it kind of made me. It made me less of who I could really be. And with me and my fiance, we kind of bring out the best in each other. We make each other into better people, and ultimately, it's a bit more work, but it's a lot more rewarding.
Absolutely, I agree with that. Out of the hundreds of guys I've asked what a quality woman means to them, the three commonalities I've really found is she helps make me a better man, i.e. we make each other better people. I don't have to pretend around her, i.e. you said that you can just communicate openly. And what the heck else was the other one, Steve? Make each other better people, communicate. Oh, and you can have deep conversations.
Right.
So you can talk to them about anything, be yourself, and it helps make you a better person. So you're absolutely right. My personal opinion, if you want to find someone like that, you need to, one, be able to have deep conversations yourself rather than just look at the surface, be like, how can I get laid ASAP? Which, quality women who have choices and are looking for something really nice for themselves, whether it's usually not seriously right away, it starts somewhere, but they want that, you're going to have to scratch past the surface. So one, you're going to have to be able to have real conversations with them. Two, not pretend. You're going to have to be genuine. They don't want some fake connection. So you can still be genuine, communicate that in an authentic, assertive, positive way. There's some ways you can say like, yo, I fucking hate the red pill, man. That shit's gay. It's stupid as fuck. Or you can say like, red pill, in my opinion, has some philosophical discrepancies within it, despite the fact there is a little bit of good. You can say the same thing, just communicate in a different way. It was much more positive. And exactly, make each other better people, encourage the good in each other, help support each other, etc., etc. So to get a person like that, you need to be someone like that, and you need to improve those parts of your life as well to be able to find someone and match someone who is like that and is healthy, so then you guys can help support each other and come together. Otherwise, someone who's like that, why would they want someone who isn't? They'd be like, no, thank you. I'm going to find someone who is, because I don't want to have to deal with their issues.
There you go. This is kind of an unpopular opinion as far as Friends, the TV show, goes, but I actually like the idea of Rachel and Joey being together.
They suit each other, don't they?
I know that's blasphemy, because Ross and Rachel, they're supposed to be together. They're each other's monster or whatever. I mean, I know they're supposed to be together for the sake of the script, but as far as Rachel and Joey goes, well, Rachel, she makes Joey a better person. I remember one episode, Joey wants to steal a soap opera award, a soapie, from a different soap opera star, because he was upset that he didn't win one, and then Rachel kind of convinced him not to do that. And then on another episode, Rachel wanted to go to the place that Joey works, and Joey called her out on that. Like whenever she goes to where Joey works, she kind of harasses Joey's male coworkers because they're all soap opera stars, and he wasn't afraid to call her out on that. So I know it's an unpopular opinion as far as Friends go. I know most people who watch Friends are going to be like, ew, Rachel and Joey, what the hell? But really, that's my idea of what a relationship should look like. Well, I know Friends is a sitcom, and most of that's really unrealistic. But as far as sitcoms go, as far as things can be on a TV show, I feel like the dynamic between Rachel and Joey, I feel like that's a really good relationship, and I'm secretly peeved that it didn't end that way, even though I know that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, even though that I know a lot of people wouldn't have been happy with that.
Well, I do agree with you. I'm not a huge Friends fan. Obviously, I've seen enough to understand what you're talking about. I think personally, the storyline of Ross ending up with Rachel is kind of, and this is going to sound a little bit bad and judgmental, but hear me out here. Kind of for like the nerdy guys who do watch Friends regularly to feel like, oh yeah, I can get like this super hot, cool woman, despite the fact she's just like a waitress or something, right?
Yeah.
So I think that makes those fans feel good, but I think like an actual real world sort of dynamic, like Joey's fun and kind of crazy, and like you said, he calls Rachel out in the ways that she would probably like to be called out, that also make her a better person. And she helps Joey be a better person in the ways that you mentioned, where like he gets out of line, she helps keep him in line. So I think in a real life example, actually a Joey and a Rachel would probably end up together much more likely than a Ross and a Rachel. I just think as far as the storyline goes for the audience, like you said, they wouldn't really like that, because it isn't the people who I think who are really like Joey or like Rachel that watch Friends. I think it's more kind of people who are kind of like Ross to some extent. I think mostly on like the male side. That's my personal view of the script versus like real life example. But I agree with you. That would have been a good story. It would have been nice because Joey's so lovable and he's fun. And then Rachel's like, you know what, Joey, I never realized how like sweet and good and funny you are. You're actually a great guy. I always thought you were a goof. And then it could turn out good. And then what do you think Ross ends up with Phoebe? Like I know she ended up having that husband or whatever, but I could see Ross ending up with Phoebe. That could
Yeah, I could definitely see that too. And well, a more contemporary example than Friends is The Big Bang Theory. There's Leonard who gets together with Penny, and I feel like that comes out of the blue somehow. Like in real life, you wouldn't have someone as nerdy as Leonard end up with someone as like Penny. But That's definitely for the nerds. It's definitely for the audience who are nerds. And the show panders towards nerds, and they want to see that someone like them can get a woman like Penny, even if that's not necessarily the way it works in real life.
I agree, but I also think there is a certain value in seeing what's his name with Penny?
Leonard?
Leonard, yeah, seeing Leonard with Penny, because I've seen that show a few times as well. And I think it's just the fact that Leonard is like unapologetically him. He's like, I am this nerd. I own what I am. So you can either like it or not like it, but it's up to you. And he is smart, he is clever, he is funny. And in him being smart, clever, funny, you're just being like, that's what it is. Some women are really going to like that. Can be like, okay, I like that he is not pretending. He's not fake. He's genuine. He has his good parts within his personality that he's unapologetic about. He's not like a dick or trying to shove it down her throat. Just like, this is what I am, take it or leave it. And she's like, okay, I could take it. I could give it a go. Because he's unapologetic and not ashamed. And communicates in a funny, interesting way. So I could see how that could work out actually in real life, potentially. Yeah, and Penny, Penny, I'd like a neighbor like Penny.
Yeah, but yeah, that's actually a really important point that you touched on. Being being unapologetically yourself.
I had a hard time saying it too.
Being authentic. If you're true to your own personality, if you're being authentic, then yeah, a lot of women, they probably aren't going to like that. But that's actually going to be true no matter who you are. If you're like a buff bodybuilder, there's going to be women who like that kind of body type. And as weird as it sounds, some women aren't going to go for that. And if you're a nerd, some women go for nerds. Some women don't really appreciate that. And that's true. Whoever you are, whatever your personality type is. If you're an introvert, some women like introverts. Some women like extroverts. Some women want someone who is religious. Some women want someone who is not religious. And if there's a woman in front of you and you feel like you really have to change your personality in order to be the type of person that she is. And I'm not talking about like making yourself a better person necessarily. I mean, dressing well, eating well, exercising, getting enough sleep. Those are all things that make you a better person. But as far as changing certain aspects of your personality, changing or being not authentic to who you really are, if there's a woman in front of you who kind of requires you to really be someone that you're not in order to attract her, then she's probably not worth it.
Well, the thing is, it's going to be... Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to give an example. If you're an introvert, you can't transform into an extrovert. You just can't. It's not worth it to try to do that.
Well, it takes too much energy, and we touched on this last time we talked about how if you're faking it, then you need to keep up that facade. And think of the energy and the bullshit involved in keeping up that facade when you could just naturally express your tastes, desires, interests in a positive way, and the people who are also like that, i.e. you attract who you are also going to like that and go along with you for it. Like Gary Vaynerchuk is a very popular business guru, coach of sorts. And he says that people will accept anything as long as it's authentic. So if you're authentic, like if you're authentically like a red pill asshole, there's going to be some women who are really going to like that. I don't know that they're going to be the best women and treat you well and that's going to be a very healthy relationship, but there's going to be some women who like it. If you're authentically a nerd, unapologetic, unashamed, assertive about it, say, I like this, I make these kinds of jokes, that's who I am. Even some women who might not really get it might be like, I can get on board because that's kind of funny and maybe I can learn something. Maybe I can enjoy it. They might be open-minded just because it's real. They know what they're getting into. So like a lot of guys I've seen, one of their issues, especially young guys, is that they feel they need to tell women that they want to have a serious relationship with them when they don't, in order to get laid and keep being able to have sex with them. Because they think the only way I can get a woman to sleep with me is if I tell her, yeah, I love you, I want to be with you, and blah, 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 and it's not true. And so these women end up getting upset that that guy told them that, and they're not really being faithful, they're not treating them like that. But I could tell from the guy's perspective, he just didn't know that if he just told her, like, look, I'm not really interested in anything serious. I kind of just want to have a good time. I do enjoy your company. I do find you attractive. We can spend some time together and see how this goes, and maybe, you know, enjoy some great sex together or something. It could be really nice. That's probably what I'm interested in right now. There's going to be a surprising amount of women, trust me, based on personal experience, that will agree to that happily because they know what they're getting into, and they're not putting their heart on the line unknowingly. So if their hopes get dashed or they don't get what they really want out of it, they were prepared for it to begin with. It's when they're lied to and they're told this thing that they believe because they're trusting this person, you know, for right or wrong, they're trusting this person. And so they end up getting hurt because that person didn't tell them the truth. And now they're upset. Now they don't understand. Now they don't know why that person was like that. When if they had just been honest, both could have enjoyed what that was just for what it was. It would have been an issue because everyone would have been up to snuff on the table, would have educationally made a choice about whether they really wanted to engage in that or not. So it goes back to being authentic. You can authentically say, this is what I want, and surprising, or this is who I am, this is what I like. I don't like the idea of who I am because people say, well, I'm just naturally an asshole, so I have to be an asshole. No, you don't. You know, it's not naturally who you are. It can be naturally, you know, how you choose to interact, okay? So you say, this is what I do, these are my interests, this is what I like. And some people are going to be like, cool, I'm on board with that. It's cool. I can give it a go. Even if it's not entirely my thing, I can give it a go and see what it's like. That's really important for everyone involved to enjoy a nice, healthy relationship, whatever that ends up being. It's just a better way to go about things. Then the people who do like you really like you. It's not bullshit. People who don't like you, you can avoid them and you save that time and effort because it's just not their cup of tea, and that's fine. You can't make everyone happy. You can't like everything. You can't know everything. You can't do everything. So choose the things that are most important. Do those. Find people who are also doing them. Go together. Have a good time. Be authentic, unashamed, unapologetic about it. Make mistakes if you must. It's going to happen. And roll with those and learn from it and get better and keep moving forward in the direction you want to go. Other than that, there's, in my opinion, nothing else one can really do in life to get what one wants outside of relationships, business, success, enjoyment, whatever. In my mind, that's all one can really do. So at the end of the day, we're going to die and nothing is guaranteed except for that. So all you can do is aim for that direction and see what happens. And maybe you overshoot your goal, maybe you don't, maybe you come up short, but all one can really do is fucking sprint in that direction and see what happens. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I agree with what you said, and I think that's really beautifully said. I mean, there's a stereotype that men just want sex, women just want love, and as much as that stereotype can seem true sometimes, there are women who just want sex. There are men who just want relationships. So that stereotype is not true 100% of the time. And in fact, if you're totally upfront with a woman, if you're honest, you're authentic about her, you let her know that, hey, I'm not looking for anything serious, just looking to have a good time. And then you find someone who's also looking for that, because surprise, surprise, women want sex too, as much as a lot of men on the internet want to complain that that's not true.
That's right.
And you know, a lot of men, they want to feel like they're victims. They want to feel like they're not having success because women don't want sex or whatever. But there are women. Women want sex too, because men, women, humans, we're sexual beings. So chances are you actually could find a woman who is also just looking to have a good time, who isn't looking for anything serious. And you find that now you've got someone who you don't have to lie to. And then you can just enjoy having a good time that much more without having to keep up a facade or trying to lead her on. And it's more ethical, and you're going to have a better time because you don't have to lie to her. And the same thing is true if you're looking for a relationship. Be upfront about that too. Whatever you're looking for, whoever you are, whatever your personality is, if you're an introvert, extrovert, nerd, whatever the opposite of nerd is, jock. Be true to yourself, be authentic. I'm not saying be the parts of yourself. I'm not saying keep doing things that could be improved. Like if you're being yourself, you could be like totally socially awkward and still technically be yourself. In that case, there's probably things you can work on, especially if you're not getting the results that you want. But you can totally work on yourself while being authentic. And when it comes to the parts of your personality, whether you're a jock, nerd, introvert, extrovert, someone who likes to run a mile every day, or you're
only 1 mile? That's not so far, Steve.
Hey, I'm coming up with examples off the top of my head here.
Sure.
But be true to yourself, be authentic, and sometimes that can be difficult. Like if there's an attractive woman in front of you, and you can either attract her by pretending to be something you're not, or you can be true to who you really are and just let her go. Which choice is going to be easier? You want to pretend to be something you're not, because that's the easy choice, and the hard choice would be to let her go, especially if she's really, really attractive. But ultimately, being authentic, being true to yourself, I feel like I've said that 1,000 times now. It doesn't dilute how true it is, but it's hard, but it's ultimately more rewarding, and it's a lot more worth it. You don't have to lie. You can be totally honest when you're being authentic, and ultimately, it's just that much better.
I agree. So 1, there's a genuineness because everyone wants genuine, authentic connection. 2, are you communicating in ways that are interesting for you and her? If you're having a good time, then it's good for both of you. Third thing I think you touched on, well, I'm not sure exactly how you touched on it, but like guys are scared of rejection and they're scared of being vulnerable. But here's the thing. It's been proven in sales situations where someone makes a mistake and spills something, they actually end up selling more goods based upon a rehearsed script than someone who doesn't, because they seem more human and they seem more genuine. It's like, this is someone I can relate to. It's not someone who's perfect, who like I'm not liked because I'm not perfect. So a lot of guys, they don't want to be vulnerable, which involves being honest about oneself, whether they communicate well and interestingly, if they are being assertive and going for what they really want, if they are being unapologetic, unashamed about what their interests really are, and their personality traits in a certain way, whether they're showing those positively, which goes along with being authentic, which goes along with communicating well. So it's that vulnerability, that willing to show that I'm a person, this is who I am, and be unashamed and unapologetic about that vulnerability. It's like, this is what I like. This is how I think things are fun. And I think you'll enjoy with me. And I think that you should like me because I'm an awesome package, because I think so, because of these reasons I'm expressing through my personality. They go, you can take it or leave it. You can take it or leave it. And they go, okay, well, maybe I'll go along with that. Because no one wants something shoved down their throat. Any sort of sales situation, you say like, so, would you like to buy? Do you think that's a good idea for you? Click here if you want that. They go, oh, yes, I do want that. Click. And it's their option. It's not forced down their throat. So it's that unapologetic, unashamed, authentic, and vulnerable communication in an interesting way, that I am this. This is what I think is awesome. This is what I like. You can come with me if you like. They go, well, maybe I'll come along. Maybe I'll give it a shot and see. And a lot of guys don't want to give that vulnerability, or they're ashamed of what they really like, who they are in some way. They have some sexual shame, like, I'm ashamed that I want women. I feel bad for that because I'm supposed to be a Christian or a good boy or a Muslim, whatever it is. A lot of guys don't have the confidence to be like, this is who I am. You can come. I want you to come. Come with me if you like, but if not, it's okay. They think, oh, you have to come with me. I have to pull you with me. You have to come. Or they think, oh, if you don't want to come, fuck you. It's like, well, it's her choice. Then the ones that do come along are ones who are genuinely interested, who you could really enjoy a nice connection with, who are probably going to be quality to you. And you're probably going to be a quality man to her, because you guys are going to authentically have chosen to go along with each other because it seemed like a good choice for both of you. Now it's a healthy relationship. Wherever it goes, it's got a healthy base for you guys to enjoy being with each other as well. It's like, that's, in my opinion, like 90% of it. Now the question is, how do you communicate those things? How do you open up being vulnerable? How do you not feel ashamed, not be apologetic? How do you feel like you are someone who is worthy and awesome to put that out there, that is someone that people would want? That's another thing. But I think it comes down mostly to that. And that's why you can't get 100% of women, because 100% of women are not going to take you up on the offer. It's not going to be right for them. They have someone out there offers on the table. Some women are going to want rich guys. They are going to want really jacked guys. But there are going to be some women who just like that because it's a good offer and you crafted it compellingly. And they're going to be okay with that because it's an authentic chance for them to enjoy it. And they can choose whether or not they want to enjoy it. They go, oh, I'll give it a shot. Why not? Now there's a real chance for genuine connection and relationship. That's my personal thought. What do you think?
Exactly. I agree with 100% with everything you said. And yeah, honestly, the most important part is being genuine and authentic. When it comes to what you say exactly, or how exactly you interact with her, a lot of that is secondary. Like the most important thing is to just be genuine and to be authentic. I mean, if you really are coming off as weird or creepy or uninteresting, there are ways to improve that. Or you can always take a look at the way you interact with women, and if there's something that can be improved and it's going to make a big difference, then obviously you should find ways to improve that or change what you're doing. But at the end of the day, really the most important thing you can do is to be authentic, be true to yourself, be genuine when you're interacting with her. Because if you're not genuine, if you're not authentic, then no matter how you talk to her, you can say the most interesting thing in the world to her, eventually it's going to go wrong. It's just going to collapse like a house of cards. It might look good for a little while. You know, you might attract her based on some inauthentic thing you say, but that's not going to hold up in the long term. And it's gonna eat away at you inside, because you can't be who you really are around her. You can't be vulnerable. You can't show her the sides of yourself that you don't show to anyone else. And at the end of the day, it's really just worth it to be genuine and authentic. That's really the most important part. And that can be hard, especially if you feel like you've been socially awkward for a long time, or you feel like you haven't had a lot of dating success with women before. Yeah, it's hard. And I used to feel the same way. I'm not going to say that it's easy to be authentic. You know, it's more difficult because when you're being authentic, you risk getting shot down for real. I mean, when you're being inauthentic, if you're just putting on a persona, then if she rejects you, then she's not really rejecting you. She's just rejecting that persona you put on. But when you're being who you really are, you're you're bearing your soul and you're putting that out there, and you're taking a chance that that can get rejected, and that's scary. I don't think there's really there's not a lot of ways to make it not scary, but it's ultimately more rewarding when you do that. And that's in my mind, that's really the basis for a solid, secure relationship.
I agree with that. It's that willingness to be vulnerable, show who you really are, so the woman really knows who she's getting in contact with, whether or not she wants to join that really is scary and partly what's really attractive to women. Now, there's the second thing is there's a couple other things. One is like, how are you communicating that? Because you could be like, hey, I like you, I think you're pretty, which is what you're really thinking. It's genuine and authentic, but it's fucking weird and going to be strange. You could also communicate a little more interesting way, like, you know, I really like your hairstyle. You don't see like fuzzy curly hairs like that. It makes me kind of want to play with it. It looks fun. Can I play with your hair? You know, it's a little weird, but it's more playful and fun. And you're saying in a different sort of way, I find you physically interesting. So there's definitely how you can go about communicating those genuine thoughts, because that's one thing. You can be genuine. It's important to communicate it in the right way. To be vulnerable, willing to really risk yourself there. The third thing is that, like, she doesn't really know you when you approach her. So she's not rejecting you. She's rejecting your approach. So if you go up and you say like, oh, I think you're really pretty, like, she's not saying I hate you as a person. She doesn't know you as a person. She's saying, I don't like you approaching me like that. That's fucking weird. I'm out of here. If you approach in an interesting sort of way, in a good communicative, fun, create good emotions for you both kind of way, where you both enjoy it, and then she can be like, okay, this guy has communicated to me in ways he's interested, and I find him and being with him interesting, so I'm going to go along with his basic attempts, and maybe she'll even try to hunt you down. You know, it doesn't happen so often, but, you know, maybe she'll try to hunt you down, or at least go along with your attempts to keep creating interactions with her, moving in the direction that you want to go, and she's ultimately happy, or best case scenario, helping you move along with as well. And that's important as well. So yeah, the vulnerability, yeah, the communication, and yeah, so you're being vulnerable, but she doesn't know you. She's judging your approach towards her, your communication towards her, your interaction with her. She's not judging you as a person. She doesn't know shit about you. You might be a good person, you might be awesome, you might be hilarious, you might just not be on point that day, or be having a bad day, or not know how to express how awesome you are. But if you learn those things, you can do it better, and then you can have better interactions with women, and they'll appreciate you more for you and the time and effort you went to be able to create interesting interactions with them, so that they can enjoy it and go along because they want to, just not with the creepy, come with me, I want you sort of way.
Yes. Yeah, and it kind of goes back to what you said earlier. You attract who you are, not what you want. Like, if you're being totally creepy when you approach her, but at the same time you're being genuine. Like, if you genuinely go up to her and you say, oh, I really want you, and you're being genuine, you risk her being like, oh yes, I have daddy issues, let's go home.
Totally. You're genuinely creepy. Just genuinely be creepy. Like, it's not a good vibe. It's not a good approach. But if you're genuinely interesting, genuinely fun, genuinely stimulating, now it's different. Now she's genuinely interested based upon you genuinely communicating in a way that's genuinely interesting and fun for both of you. So that's good. It's a good positive direction.
There you go.
Can you give me another genuinely creepy example?
So, oh man, I don't know. It's like you approach. I can't say.
It was a joke. It was really a joke. Like, it was genuinely getting awkward there. I didn't really want you to do it. It's more of a joke.
All right, good, because I don't feel like going there.
For sure. See, I agree with you. You know, being genuine is important. Just genuine in the right way. So are you genuinely being creepy? Okay, that's something you can improve. Are you genuinely being interesting and fun and being a man who's stimulating, she wants to spend her time around? That's something you can improve. She's not judging you, she's judging your approach. So it's okay. You don't need to take it so personally. So when a lot of guys look at it that way, they go, oh, I can actually improve how I communicate, as opposed to changing who I am. And so then the women will appreciate that more. I can still be me. Yes, you can be you. An improved, better communicating version of you. Unless you're some kind of freak and weird and unhealthy in your own mind, then I suggest you sort out your own issues and approach situations positively with a positive mindset and look to make good things for everyone. So maybe you do need to change some things about you. Maybe you just need to improve some communication. Maybe you need to do both and improve your appearance, which is part of the communication. But you put it all together to put positive motions in a positive direction towards creating positive relationships that are open and good for everyone involved, where everyone's better for having been in them and enjoy them, then there's no harm. And a lot of people are going to enjoy it and want to enjoy it with you. And then it's all good. You got nothing to worry about. Now, is it simple and easy? Can anyone just go create those like those? No. A lot of people struggle in making those. And a lot of people work really hard for a long time to, one, even understand that, and two, to be able to create them. It's a whole other thing. But once you can, it's really cool. It's really nice. You can have some really nice, genuine, fun connections with amazing women. They're going to enjoy being around you. Maybe work towards getting you, if you're right, you frame it in the right way, and you communicate that they can in a certain way by having a great personality and being fun and going along with what you like. Now you're creating relationships and women are kind of working towards you, and you're both moving in a direction you'd like to go, and life is pretty good for both of you. You're both better off having been in that interaction. What do you think?
Totally. I agree with all of that. That's kind of the overarching theme of what we've been talking about tonight. Dating quality women, being authentic, being genuine, being true to who you are, dating someone when you're coming from that secure place and where she's coming from that secure place, someone who makes you a better person, someone who you can have a deep conversations with. All of that's important, and yeah, it takes more work, but it's going to be many times more rewarding. You're going to be a lot more happier when you're in that kind of secure relationship, as opposed to a relationship where you're coming from a place of not having an abundance mentality, when you're coming from a place of scarcity, or you're not coming from a secure place, or you have to lie to her in order to keep her attracted to you. Yeah, it might be a little bit more difficult, but as someone who's been there before, as someone who's stayed with women who made me unhappy for way too long, I can tell you that it's worth it.
For sure. And being a quality man, unapologetic about who you are, happy with yourself, good communication, presenting yourself well. Big surprise, are you going to attract a quality woman who does the same things? Like, you attract who you are. So you become and do those things. You attract women who are and do those things, and it ends up being a really nice relationship, just like you said.
Right.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. It's way better. It's way better. No one wants to be in a unfulfilling, shallow, this was my only option relationship. Yeah. So when you create some amazing options, then you choose the best amongst them. Like you said, it's choosing from abundance. It's much better, and you get much better options to choose from. You can enjoy something really healthy and, like you said, satisfying for you.
There you go.
Cool. I agree 100%. Sounds wonderful. Cool. So, really quick, what do you think men struggle with most with dating quality women? Is it being authentic?
What do they struggle with most? I'd say they struggle with a lot of things. I don't know what they struggle with the most. I mean, there's talking to women. There's trying to meet women, or trying to feel like you're confident. But like I said earlier, I think a lot of that is really secondary to being authentic. The first thing and the most important thing when it comes to interacting with women is to be authentic, be genuine, and when you're doing that, when you got that down right, then you can work on talking to her or being confident around her, or meeting more women if that's the thing that you kind of need to work on in order to find a quality woman.
Yeah, I can agree for sure. Definitely the talking, the being authentic, being genuine, feeling good enough for them is definitely a thing. So I would say just work on becoming the person that you really want to be. And the closer you go towards being the person you really want to be, the more you're going to feel like you're really offering something awesome. So then how could she possibly refuse? It'd be silly for her to. And when they do, you're like, well, that was your loss. It wasn't a very smart choice on your part. Just I'm not going to tell you that particularly, but I'm okay with it because I know that was not your best choice. You might be making a mistake.
Right. Abundance mentality. There's one woman turns you down, there's a million more women right there.
That's right. And who knows which one's that right one who makes you really happy, makes you a better man. You don't have to pretend around. Oh, you're gonna have deep conversations with. Yeah, I keep forgetting that one for some reason. Cool. So, do you think that there's anything different that like introverts have to do specifically to be able to date quality women, the women they really want, as opposed to extroverts?
Well, introverts, today's world, it's more extroverted. We live in what Susan Cain, the author of Quiet, wrote. She writes that we live in a world that worships the extrovert ideal. Like, people expect you to act like an introvert. Like, if you're not the type of person who likes to go to the bar after work, or if you're the type of person who likes to sit alone, or kind of do their own thing at a party instead of being at the center of attention, then people kind of think you're weird. Even though that's kind of the way introverts are. Introverts need to have that space to recharge their social batteries. Sometimes they need to go hide in the bathroom, be on their phone, play Angry Birds or whatever the most popular game. Yes, cut some fruit, whatever the most popular game these days is. So we live in a world and a culture, especially American culture, Western culture. Western culture worships what Susan Cain calls the extrovert ideal. Eastern culture, not as much as Western culture. Like, in the East, we have figures like Confucius or Gandhi who are silently strong. And then in the West, we have, we're the opposite of that. We have sayings like the squeaky wheel gets the grease, where in the East, they preach the value of silence. They teach silence as a virtue. So especially in Western culture, we live thinking extroverts are normal and introverts are weird. And that kind of ties into what we've been talking about a lot tonight, about being authentic. A lot of introverts, they might feel weird about being true to their own personality because Western culture thinks introverts are weird. And if most of the Western world thinks introverts are weird, then introverts may feel like they have to be more extroverted, and in that way they're kind of pushed to be less authentic, less genuine, less true to their own personalities, and they might end up not even liking their own personalities. And when you don't even like yourself, that's not really attractive to other people who might want to date you.
I agree. So what do you think introverts can do to avoid that trap?
They can hang out with other introverts, or maybe not even necessarily hang out. They can hang out on the internet, where introverts like to be away from people. They can be in online communities around other people. They don't necessarily have to be around people. Or they can read websites like Introvert Beer, which is one of my favorite websites. It's for introverts. It's something I've written on. It's something I've been featured on several times. Also, for introverts kind of have a natural inclination to want to stay home, watch TV, read books, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, it's kind of counterproductive to stay inside 100% of the time. So if you're an introvert, I'm an introvert, and one thing, sometimes I have to push myself to get out of the house to socialize with other people. So I'll make it like one day of the week, I'll go out, I'll go to a meetup group or hang out with these people, or I'll really make it a priority to schedule a hangout session with my friends, with other people I know. So sometimes when you're an introvert, you just kind of you have to push yourself to do those things. And I'm not saying you have to transform yourself into an extrovert. You have to like transform yourself into the person who naturally goes around people, who naturally recharges around people. But at the same time, you got to do that at least occasionally, at least maybe once a week. And then the rest of the week, you can treat yourself to Netflixes, books, video games, what have you.
I agree. I think growing up, I was much more introverted, played a lot of video games, read more books. I hated the idea of parties and stuff. I'd see advertisements on TV and be like, why the fuck would you want to go to that Budweiser party? It doesn't look fun at all. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be no fun. I'm going to feel so nervous. No one's going to like me. It's not going to be cool. I think, like you said, the more you go out and just practice the skill and come to enjoy, to find ways to make it fun for you and the people involved of having the conversations out somewhere where you can start to become more extroverted, and then you can also go home and enjoy and recharge your batteries, reading a book and playing games, whatever else. Because, I mean, I like to think I'm fairly extroverted now, but like you, I'm actually probably naturally an introvert. So like when I go home and visit my family, you're talking about living in the East. I live in China, so people are much more quiet and less introverted here and value it much, much less. You're absolutely right. Even when I go home and visit my family and I'm around them the whole time, I just get really tired. I just really need some time to myself, alone in the room, to go on the internet or read something, or just meditate, just get away from people, because it just takes energy being around them for sure. However, the more you go out and purposefully put yourself in that situation, kind of like the more you go running, first you run for 5 minutes, and then 6 minutes, and 7, then 10, then 15, then 20. The more you go do it, obviously, the more you're able to do it. So I really like your advice of spending one day a week going out, being social, spend the rest of the week doing what you want. If you like it, you want to get more social, blah, 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 whatever, go out 2 nights a week, maybe 3. Choose where you choose to push it to. Just the more you do it, the more obviously you'll get at it. It's just a fact of doing anything. So
right,
Matt. Oh, recharging from people, doing lots of talking. I hear you, Steve.
Yeah, and it's kind of like that analogy you use, like exercising. Like for about maybe 0.01% of the population, they like pumping weights, and for me, exercising sucks. I mean, your body hurts while you're doing it, and then your body hurts after doing it. But naturally, my natural inclination is to want to not do it. But if you want to be healthy, if you want to have all those health benefits, and have a better body, sleep well, have more energy, then it's worth it to exercise, even if it's not your natural inclination to do so. And there are ways to get around that. Like maybe you plan out a day or a certain time of the day where you do a 15-minute exercise, and you just kind of have to find ways to make yourself do that every so often.
I agree. Like, I didn't like exercising much growing up either. Remember, every time hockey season came around at the beginning of the year, I was like, why do I play hockey? I know my parents told me I'm supposed to play hockey, but why do I do this? Because this hurts. I'm really tired. I don't enjoy it. I regret it. Beginning of every season, because I never stayed fit in between like seasons of playing hockey. So I learned later that actually, one, if you do it consistently, it's much, much easier. Two, of course, you get the endorphin release and whatnot, so you feel better after you do it. Anytime I do a workout and I don't want to, after I do the workout, I'm glad I did. I often don't want to before, but I'm always glad. And yeah, just looking, feeling better, like you said, having more energy, just having that as a tool, having looking good as a tool one can use in their life is useful. Having social skills, being able to get along with people as a tool is something very useful in life. Being able to communicate unashamed, authentically, get your opinion out there, find people who really connect with that, and to build relationships with people like that is also a skill and a tool, and that's really useful for life as well, just overall life enjoyment and betterment in general. So I totally agree. Just build it up, start slow, build it up, and get to where you want to be. That's entirely it. You don't got to sprint from the get, but you know, if your goal is to become a runner, you know, start doing a little bit of running, take a few steps, jog for a few minutes, whatever the baby step is, take it until you're where you want to be, because obviously no one gets anything without taking action and going towards what they want. Nothing comes from nothing. So I agree with you. Just take some steps to go make that a regular part of life, and then it becomes weird when it's not, and then that regular habit just takes over and it's a normal part of your life now.
There you go.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Cool. So, Steve, anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
I think I've said pretty much all I want to say tonight. Really, when it comes to dating, the important things are you want to be genuine, authentic. If you're not where you are, where you want to be, if you are somewhere and you're not getting the results that you want, then it feels good to complain about that. But at the end of the day, what's going to get you the results that you want is that you go out and find ways to get unstuck, whether that's taking a look at how you interact with women, or if you're coming off as creepy or uninteresting, or if you can improve your wardrobe or whatever. Don't stay stuck. Be authentic. Yeah, is there anything else that's coming to mind that I'm missing?
Like Steve said, do something about it.
Yes.
Find someone to help you, find some resources, take some action, whatever the fuck it is, do something about it, get it sorted, make your life as you want it to be. I don't want to say be a man, but be a fucking man. Quality people get shit done. They get done what they want. If you want quality women who get shit done, become a quality man who gets shit done. You'll match, it'll work out. Steve can help you, especially if you're an introvert, shy, awkward. Steve can understand that. He understands about dressing well, your fashion and fitness. Get that shit sorted out. I can help you. If you find someone else, whatever, find fucking someone. Get it sorted out, whatever you do. I think those are my final thoughts on it.
I agree.
Cool. You can go to Steve's site, quietlyromantic.com, get his free ebook. What is the ebook called again, Steve?
It's actually a cheat sheet. How to talk to women.
You can get the How to Talk to Women cheat sheet. You're gonna learn real quick how to say what to do, so it's not real awkward and creepy. You can probably use that. You can go to my site. I have a new conversation skills with women boosting audio coming out. It's going to be there. Hopefully by the time this goes up, I think it will be. You can check it out too. Steve, I really appreciate you joining. It was really a deep, thoughtful, I don't want to say dark. It was an intimate, quality amount of time spent together to really get to the core of the subject. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate it.
Oh, it was my pleasure, Brian. I really enjoyed being here. I'm really glad you invited me to be back here a second time. It was fun.
I agree. I appreciate it. And I really feel it was some quality time, some deep one-on-one time, going deep into the hearts of people to really connect and communicate. Cool, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Check out Steve's site. Check out my site. Have a great day. Get shit done.
Take care.
Cheers, Steve. We'll talk later.
See you later, Brian.